Hello and welcome. We are live. We're live on LinkedIn, we're live on Instagram, and we're live on YouTube. Although you may be listening to the replay as the podcast, and however you're here, whether you're watching, whether you're listening, welcome. This is the 90-Day Website Mastery Podcast. It's episode 39 of the Website Mastery Podcast, the perfect companion to our 90-Day Website Mastery Program and our recently published book, Web Proud. In this 39th episode, we're excited to bring you even more valuable insights and practical advice to help you enhance your website's performance. Join us as we explore strategies to make your website work harder for you, reigniting your pride in your online presence. It's great that you're here. Thanks for joining us. My co-host is here, Pascal Fintoni. How are you, Pascal?
I'm very well. I'm delighted to be able to bring a bit of sunshine and brighten someone's day, because this is a tough time of the year, and I'm glad we've done the research. We've got the fourth segment ready to go, and lots of practical advice again, lots of ways to really integrate AI in a way that is going to be meaningful and create the right impact for you and your audience.
Absolutely. The title of this podcast is Can AI Content Create Harm to Your Website's Google Rankings? We're going to be exploring that amongst many other things in our 4 segments, as always. And don't forget, the last segment is that call to action segment. It's the one where we give you one thing that you could be doing right now, the website call to action, one thing that you could be doing right now to your website to start you feeling web proud. And that is what we always end on. So let's start, though, with our first segment, which we are going to talk about something that Pascal, I think, has found this week, and it's the You Ask, We Answer.
Yeah, so in the You Ask, We Answer segment, we look at a question that maybe you and I have heard during a training session, maybe a speaking gig, perhaps we saw it online and so on. And this one actually was from a workshop I ran for County Durham last week, and people were looking at AI apps to help them craft the content. But actually, more or less the group in tandem kind of said to me, well, I've heard that you can get penalized by Google if you use AI to create that content for my website. Is it true? And if so, what could I do to avoid any penalties and drop in traffic? What say you, Jonny Ross?
Very good question. I think it's fair to say that fundamentally, Google is not penalizing AI content. That's the fundamental thing is that it's not penalizing content just because it's AI. What it is penalizing, or where you may affect your ranks, is if it's low quality, or perhaps if it's spammy or just sort of repeated content. So I think, we've said this many, many times, AI is a digital assistant. It's there to help, it's there to brainstorm, it's there to structure, it's there to come up with ideas, it's there to get rid of writer's block, it's there to get you started. It's how you use it, though, and it's how you humanize the content, how you edit the content, how you focus on adding value to the content, avoiding the sort of the fluff and making sure that you edit the content properly. I guess the key thing that I would suggest, if people are concerned, and this is ultimately how to rank high in Google anyway, is to concentrate on EEAT. Google talk about it a lot. EEAT: experience, expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness. And if you can concentrate your content on those 4 things and make sure that you're bringing experience, expertise, authority, and trustworthiness by the type of content that you're bringing, whether that be the sort of the questions that you're introducing into it, the added value that you're introducing, the way that you're making sure that you're talking to the reader and adding value the entire time, then your content is not going to get penalized. That is what I think, Pascal.
Yeah, and listen, I've got some sympathy with the thought, because historically, and you and I reviewed it actually about a year ago, Google did make a statement that they would, essentially not so much penalize, but not only rank as, successfully AI produced content, and then they changed their mind, because this, well, actually, let's clarify this. What we mean is content that is unhelpful and irrelevant as a result of using AI. So I think, historically there was some confusion there. But if we go back to the reason why you might see a drop in traffic, or the reason why there'd be penalties, so the twofold, in terms of the website construct and the engine behind, the scenes, perhaps a bit old, a bit dated, perhaps just some dirty code, as my developer friends like to call call it. So it's getting in the way of Google, Bing, Yahoo, and the others scanning your content. But also, see, the audience could be the one to penalize you. The infamous bounce rate. So someone goes into your website, perhaps intrigued by a social media post or a reference that you made during a networking event, and then they literally within milliseconds, because that's a skill we've all been able to develop over the years, they kind of go, nah, that's not for me, and they're out of that page as fast as you can say it. So there are real penalties, which are more to do with the behavior of your site technically and the behavior of your audience. Now, in terms of how you could avoid simply that happening, you're absolutely right. I would certainly go back to some of the advice we gave in previous episodes of use AI for the outline, use AI for the research of what's relevant, use AI for what people are looking for across the customer journey. So all this idea of be a better informed content creator, it gets to the point where then you can get into the creation. I would certainly go as far as say, well, if you're going to use AI, because actually time is against you, make sure that then you train AI to understand your tone of voice and your style, and it's getting easier by the passing week. I mean, you and I keep track the best we can with the evolution of AI, and it's getting a lot better at that bit. What is the source of information, not just the entire web, but maybe the last 10 articles written by Jonny, and that becomes really what you work on. So I would agree with you. It's not that, oh my goodness, I dared use ChatGPT or Gemini, and Google will know and therefore will be penalized. It's more that your audience is going to disconnect, and that behavior is where the penalty is going to come from.
Yeah, and just one of the points that you were mentioning there about training AI and how you use it. I mean, yeah, that's the secret to this. It's about giving it feedback. It's about creating your own GPT or your own conversation in Gemini, and making sure that that you're following what you believe is the correct structure. So making sure that you're humanizing it in every which way possible, and adding that value. But yeah, training it in terms of how you think to ensure that it's adding your knowledge into the equation. So yeah, I guess you've not had to play with DeepSeek yet, the new China AI bot that sort of hit the US overnight and taken billions of pounds off the stock market. I take you've not had to play yet.
No, I mean, my playlist is as long as my Netflix watch list of different things I need to use with AI. I need to literally clone myself, but no, it's on the to-do list. So I do my R&D when it comes to AI on a Friday. I've tried to be a bit more disciplined because I was doing it every day, every evening, watching videos in bed, which is very, very naughty. So I'm trying not to sit and slow down a bit. And so Friday will be my play with DeepSeek.
What I'm fascinated with is how they're training the talk is that it's being trained by using the likes of Gemini and using the likes of ChatGPT, and actually that just reiterates what we've said, which is about it's about giving feedback. It's about using the AIs together to come up with the best thing possible, and seeing it as a person, seeing it as an assistant, just as an employee, as an expert, challenging it, asking it, informing it. But yeah, don't be afraid. I think the key thing here is, can AI content creation harm your website's Google ranking? Well, I think it can if you simply copy and paste and you don't put any input in, any proper input in. But if used well and edited and thought through, it has no effect whatsoever. In fact, if anything, a positive effect.
I would say so, because you're going to end up with better ideas within the time budget that you have, which is a term that I use a lot in my workshop. And please don't do the thing that I know is showed on Reels and also, which is get some AI produced content, then get on this other platform that's going to humanize it. So you essentially keep using AI platforms to try and avoid the penalties. But the penalties, I can guarantee you, will come from your audience who can tell it's not from you. And it's not from your conviction about how you want to be helpful to your community.
Yeah, for sure. Let's move on to our next segment, which is website stories.
And the segment of the show, Johnny and I choose an article, a podcast, a video, an infographic, a content piece can help us reflect what it means to be a manager in today's economy. And we've gone for a video. Now, this time of year, to cheer me up, I usually have two kind of rituals. One is to attend the On24 webinar and masterclass about the best way to be online and engage an audience. On24 is a great platform out there. And the second, which is equal in terms of looking forward to it, is every January. And my kind of business friend Philip Van Dusen publishes a video that is really helpful in terms of the mindset and strategies to deploy that year. And only 2 weeks ago, at the time of recording this and going live, Philip Van Dusen published the web best content marketing strategy for 2025. And he's recommending 8 different mindsets and tactics that can really help. But actually, if you bear in mind the conversation we had a moment ago on the session, you ask, we answer. This is really a video that Jonny and I would like you to go and watch more than once, start to take note, and start to even put together a bit of a strategy and content list. So, my job today really is to promote the video and say a big, big thank you to Philip Van Dusen. But this idea of content marketing has changed over the years. You've all noticed that. And what used to work doesn't work so well or doesn't work at all. And the landscape has shifted. And for me, the audience has shifted as well in terms of what they want. Now, a few years ago, John and I will remember that the advice we gave maybe 10 years ago was, try and really showcase your expertise and your availability and your values by creating, a series of content that will help you establish your digital footprint. But number one of the 8 mindset shift that Philip Van Dusen would like us to deploy is the idea of shifting from volume to value. And that the audience now is looking for depth, they're looking for meaningful advice, and they're looking for actually longer form and well-researched form of content. So the number one is thinking of a move towards quality, not quantity. Now, people are going to say, well, how do we then, make sure that we have that digital footprint? So one of the advice that is given is then this idea of micro content. So because you've gone for the longer form, better researched, and using AI for sure, then you're in a position to repurpose this into highlights. And Philip has this lovely image of think of your long form content as something that has many Lego pieces, but each piece can work independently. So having a multi-channel strategy and using micro content is one of the advice. And really what I want to make people understand is that it takes that moment of stop for a moment, watch the videos and go through the mindset. So I'm going to go through all the other 6 points that Philip has made. And then I ask for your reaction, Johnny, in terms of is it one that connected? So, number one, we're going to shift from volume to value. Number two, we're going to use the tools of the time to create a sense of connection. We're thinking live Q&A sessions like today, responding to all comment, organizing surveys, asking people, what they're challenging, but also creating a sense of exclusivity with private groups, which is, I think, very interesting. LinkedIn, Facebook, or even Discord is becoming more of a favor. Number three, a reminder that the content is all about the customer journey, not the bit you want to sell. And Philip does a very good job to remind us about the awareness, consideration, and decision stages, and the kind of content will work well there. Number four, we talk about the micro content. Number five, storytelling with a purpose. So essentially, the idea being the corporate video or the corporate white paper or the corporate annual report is now dead and gone. And what you want to be doing is sharing real stories with the purpose of reflecting really generally who you are, reflecting who you help and how you help them. And that storytelling with purpose, I think, is one that people are still wrestling with because, they want to be able to just sell something, but you've got to understand that things are moved on. And number six, using actually data and AI for hyper personalization. And it gives a very good example how you can have some data for one source, could be MailChimp or HubSpot, and you can ask AI, well, what else can I do with this kind of data to create personalization? Give me some ideas, and that's really, really quite good. Number seven, building trust through individual voices, something you and I recommend very actively as part of the program. But, can you use real people showcase the brand as opposed to the logos and a kind of faceless type of activities? And then number eight, don't hesitate to experiment with interactive and experiential content. So we're talking about, again, quizzes, live streaming with a real Q&A, AR, VR, QR code, but can you get your audience to be participants in this content experience as opposed to passive consumers? So I've gone through those 8 points very, very quickly. I'm not doing justice to not the video, but also the construct of the video. I think people will learn a lot about how you can plainly, calmly, and with great charm, share the advice. You're going to see the segment, which are uh, in preparation for the micro contents that is spoken about. But for me, it was just this idea of, it's always very helpful at this time of year to stop for a moment, catch, those strategies and mindsets and tactics and start to deploy them in the business. So I've given you the 8 there very, very quickly. There may be a couple that connected with you, Jonny.
Well, I think overall it's a great reminder. I mean, we can get stuck in this content strategy and get lost, and sort of we're constantly thinking, oh, what's the new thing that we should be talking about, or what content should we be putting out there? How can we be continually putting content out there? But what a great reminder as the first one, which is about the quality and not the quantity. And that's something that we've both said for many years. It's all, quality absolutely beats the quantity. Sometimes it's about consistency. Sometimes it's about thinking about the expectations that your audience may have, and if they, I don't think anyone's quite sat there waiting for your piece of content to be published. I don't think people stop their day waiting for 7 p.m. on a whatever. However, if you've got a really engaged audience, then consistency is key. So I think that one for me, just the number one, is the big thing. Number 4, the multi-channel strategy using micro content. Well, repurposing content, I think, is brilliant, because it's about having that sort of in-depth content which people do want, where you've got the detail, you've got the answers, you've got the pain points, you've got the solutions, but you've then got that sort of micro content to bite-size the whole thing down and to make it very accessible on the different platforms that your users are using at that time. So whether they're sort of, out and about, whether they're on a desktop, on a mobile, the different time of day, what platform they're on, that micro content gives them that door in and gives them that bite-sized content. So those are the 2 things that jump out at me. It's about, it really focus on the quality and not the quantity, and then focus on repurposing all of that amazing content into micro content, bite-sizing the whole thing down, and bringing people on the journey of understanding, of being able to absorb all of that great content that you're producing. Great video, Pascal, and I think it's a great reminder, as I said.
Yeah, thank you very much. So everyone, do watch the video. You're going to learn a lot about how to construct a video such as this one. You'll see the segment, you'll see the order, you see the intro, the outro, a lot of learning in there, but that's very much Philip Van Dusen style. I love the language is used as well. I've heard the tactic mentioned, but not in that way before, and not in that language. And the one that really, the 2 that I kind of went, yeah, do you know what? This idea of creating sense of community, but making it a bit more exclusive with private groups, and moving away from making a public group because it's a bit of a marketing kind of device, and this idea of using data first, then AI to personalize. And I think people jump straight into the AI bit, give me some lovely ideas, as opposed to, well, here's the data source, or is the kind of behavior that I'm getting from HubSpot or MailChimp or another. Let's have a conversation between me and you, AI, the expert assistant. I thought that was a lovely touch.
Agreed. Great website story. Thank you, Pascal. Let's move to the website engine room.
In every show, we'd like to recommend 2 apps, software, or even a piece of kit that can make life easier as a website content creator. What is your selection for the website engine room, Jonny?
So there's loads of design and image apps out there, but there's it's about finding the right one for you, and depending on what it is you're trying to do, there might be an app that actually just makes it a lot easier and a lot quicker. This one is one by Jasper.ai. So the content tool Jasper.ai have released ClipDrop.co. ClipDrop.co. It's a tool for capturing, editing, and enhancing images. It allows you to Oh my god, I can't say the word. Create professional looking graphics for your website, and having a play. Within seconds, you can do some really clever stuff. And as I said, there's lots out there, but it's worth having a play just to see if it's an app that just makes editing those images just a lot quicker and easier. So for me this week, it is ClipDrop.co.
I wish you'd told me about this last week because I had something with the images that gave me a bit of a headache. Now, again, we've done it because we don't. I mean, we speak regularly, but when it comes to compiling the show notes, we work separately. And I've gone again for an image-based solution. So this one came about when a client wanted to promote some products, but they felt that their own photography, but also the style, just wasn't engaging enough or wasn't helping with that dwell time or people stopping the scroll on social media. And between research and I suppose, the algorithm doing its bit, I was recommended an app called Flair AI. Flair, which is FLAIR, bit like the French term. And the idea being that you've got some professional studio environment type photography where you can position your products within that environment that has been created. So literally you go through a selection of a template and you'll see there's different lighting system, there's different colors, there's smoke effects, there's all sort of things that goes on as you would imagine an advertising studio. You upload your product image and then AI takes over to position the products within that environment. Now, people would say, well, I don't sell products. I'm a service-based business and B2B and so on. But think a bit more about around content promotion. Maybe you could create a 3D rendition of an ebook to symbolize your content. You could talk about an event, coming soon. So I think for me, it's back to imagination, which is a very, very important talent that we have to nurture when we use AI. So for me, Flair AI, this idea of making someone stop for a moment because the quality, but also the style of photography is so studio-like that, so I've not seen this before, both for products and I think for services, is definitely worth your while. Flair.ai.
Brilliant. Well, there we go. 2 image apps for you to have a play with and compare. And why not have a play and let us know? Give us some feedback. What do you think of these apps? We love finding new apps all the time and exploring and playing. We do some of that sort of hard work of trying them for you, but it would be great to hear what you think of some of these. So, yes, that was the website engine room. Let's move on to the website call to action.
Now, this is about the one change, the one adjustment that you should be making right now for your website. And Jonny, what is your recommendation?
So, yeah, as you've said, Pascal, this is one simple change that you could be making right now to enhance the usability of your website, to get people more engaged, to increase the dwell time, and to ultimately answer people's questions, give them the solutions, give them the help they're looking for, whatever that might be. So really simple, been around for a long time, anchor links. This is a bit of HTML code that allows you to drop either buttons or text-based links onto the page, typically a long page, that give to drag the user down the page, so highlighting something in a button or a text link that then takes them lower down the page. So perhaps you've got different sections on the page, perhaps you've got different bite-size points that you're trying to make, or perhaps you've got frequently asked questions all the way through the page, and you can turn some of these into anchor links so that the user can literally just press a button and they go straight deep into the content that they are looking for, and it reduces that bounce rate. It increases the time spent because they find what they want and they start reading. So I think they're often underutilized anchor links for long pages. That would be my website call to action for this episode. What's yours, Pascal?
So for me, it's actually informed by work I'm doing currently for a client where they are about to launch a very content-rich portal full of information to help startups launch their new venture. And actually, it's an echo of the conversation, the review of Philip Van Dusen's video about this idea of bringing the voices of individuals, or allow people to review and identify their best performing articles. And you'll get that from the stats and more, and literally go back and add an author's information box. And what I mean by that is not just what you see normally, which is the name. I want you to actually put a bit more thought about it. So a thumbnail image would be helpful. I would like to have literally a short biography, maybe a sentence or two that tells a bit more about the individuals, link to other articles, and literally that would be a information box that would preface the article, because it's becoming so important now, particularly when there is the malpractice out there with AI. I mean, there was malpractice with content way before AI, of course, and this idea of making sure that people get a sense that a real person was behind, this article is becoming very, very important. But back to your point, it acts as, I stop for a moment, I take it on board that this was from Jonny, I understand a bit more about Jonny, I can actually click and access more information created by Jonny. But this idea of there's a bit of interaction, there's definitely an element of bringing individual voices, and since they are performing well already, you get even more value from those articles with that author's information box.
Yeah, it's a great way to bring more credibility, create trust, get someone to engage with you. And interestingly, I don't know if the media, the newspapers are a sector to follow or not, because you could argue that the newspapers are dead and everything else. But the only point I'm trying to make here is one thing I've noticed over the last probably 6 months is how a lot of the media are moving back to showing authors and highlighting authors, and really making, if you have a look at some of the newspaper apps, they're giving a lot more screen space to the author name and to that author bio. So I think whether there's something to learn from them or whether they've learned from us, who knows. But I think it's clear to say that what Pascal's suggesting there is a great little one adjustment that you could make to start people engaging and you to feel proud of your website. Another great episode. It was episode 39 of the website 90-day website mastery podcast. Lots of AI, Pascal. I mean, we can't ignore it. It's there, and it be at your peril if you ignore. Is that fair?
It's fair, but also people asking questions. People want to use it well. They want to understand, some of the pitfalls. And I think for me, one of the pitfalls could be actually that as a result of using AI, you misunderstand that it knows better than you. It knows more than you. And I think your point about using as an assistant that actually will never know as much as you about the business, the audience, what should they care about you, and that kind of thing. So for me, of course, AI is going to be a running thread of all the conversations, but it's about how do we, as skilled operators, get value from it.
And the key message is embrace, but go for quality over quantity, and make sure you edit, make sure you use it as an assistant, use it to brainstorm, feed it information, teach it, and help it understand what you're thinking. Some great apps that we've looked at on how to edit images. We've talked about content strategy, and it's all about quality over quantity, and thinking of that micro content, that bite-sized content, how you can use that across all the different platforms that you are on. And the website call to actions: start introducing anchor links to your long pages, and review and identify your best performing articles, and add some author information to increase that trust and click through. Thank you so much for joining us. That was episode 39 of the 90-day website mastery podcast, your audio companion to the 90-day website mastery program. For more information, visit 90daymarketingmastery.com, where you can book a discovery call with either myself or Pascal. It's goodbye for now. We'll leave you with a fun video and audio montage to enjoy whilst you review your notes and action steps, or perhaps head over to Amazon and search Web Proud, a book that we launched only a couple of months ago, with lots and lots of information in there to help you feel proud of your website again. Look forward to seeing you soon. Thanks, Pascal. See you all soon. Take care.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Bye.